Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to get an awesome new PC you'd like to see get put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so we've got a big one on tonight. We've got a double PC build and it's kind of all over the place here tonight because we've got a couple of locals here who have dropped in their PCs, and we're going to be upgrading from parts that they've given me. So the second one is sort of like I guess we could say it's the main event because it's got a Lian Dynamic 11 case and all that kind of stuff. So that's the main one. And that one's sort of like the simpler one. That just involves me building the Lian PC and moving over like drives and a motherboard and RAM and most of the computer coming out of that one going into the Lian case. So that's relatively straightforward. This one here, the first one that we're doing here, we're going to end up with like two functional computers, one for this guy and one for his son, I think it is. So yeah, a little bit of stuff's moving out of this one. Like we've got like the storage devices moving out of this one into a new case with the hardware that you see in the front there. And then we've obviously got to chuck a new SSD into this one, and etc. etc. So basically he'll pick up two working PCs ready to go when he collects his PC, hopefully tomorrow, as long as we don't have any dead parts or anything like that. And then yeah, like I said, the second one is a bit more straightforward because he's just going to be getting back a case with a couple of random bits in it, I think. Maybe just a case. I don't know. I haven't. Yeah, it's too hard when people start going, yeah, I want to upgrade this bit and this bit and this bit. I work it all out and I order the parts, but then trying to remember exactly what parts they said is coming out of each PC, I'll have to actually work through it to see that. Because there's just no way my brain is going to remember that, doing the amount of quotes and shit that I do every day with everyone else. Alright, so just before I answer any questions, I'll just run through the main components that we got here. Oh, yep. Someone wanted to say hello? Hey George, how you going? Alright, we got a i5 12600KF, we got the RTX 3080 GB Vision, we got a MSI B660 Tomahawk Wi-Fi, got a gigabyte power supply there, we got a 240mm Antec cooler to go in there, and we've got an Antec D700 flux case. And then inside this PC here, I think it's got like a 10400 or something like that in there, and I think like a 3060. So it's not like this PC here it's not like ancient or anything like that. I'm gonna forget the person's name here in a second if I make them. If I don't say their name, I can't forget their name officially. What's that?
I said we'll roll with that.
We'll roll with that. Yeah, we'll roll with that.
Darren says hi from UK.
Hey Darren, how you going? Good to have you with us. Let me just get this back panel off here. Yeah.
Facebook says hi too.
Hey Richard, how you going?
Reese says go to PC. Side note, mine is going strong.
Oh, awesome, man. Yeah, luckily.
Wait.
What's that?
Richard says that's my PC going into the Lian.
Yes, Richard is number 2 there. I think it's
No. He said, oh no, it's not.
no Richard's is the next one. Richard's is the Lian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Luke. Luke is the guy who's getting this one.
Nice. Darren says, okay, off the days.
The problem with me, right, this is why I have such trouble remembering people's names, is because you come up with like a nice little like little Facebook profile picture, and then based on what that profile picture looks like, I'll put you all in the same category, because your Facebook profile pictures look kind of similar when they're really small. And so in my brain, I'll merge all that together. Like I can't do anything about that. That's just how my brain works. So I'm sure you understand. So we have an SSD in here. I'm not sure if Luke's watching yet. Is this the only SSD that we have in here? I'll find out.
Tim,
Yeah.
Richard says can't wait to see mine finished.
Yeah, Richard's will be good. Richard's got you know those, babe, you know the Corsair, sorry, not the Corsair, the Cooler Master fans with the crystals. She doesn't know what I'm talking about off the top of my head.
What?
You know the Cooler Master fans with the crystals?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I wasn't even paying attention. I was reading stuff. What? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Richard's getting in the Lian Li
no
tonight.
Way.
So it's going to be those fans.
Aww. I actually really like them. They look nice.
Yeah, they look great. See, the only reason why you probably haven't...
better in person than they do on camera.
They do. They absolutely do. Probably the only reason why you haven't seen them here yet is just because normally when someone gets a Lian Li build, I'll normally recommend a Corsair or NZXT cooler, and then we normally build up around that. I find that the Corsair and NZXT coolers have a better reliability record than the Lian Li ones. So a lot of people go, oh, how come you're doing a Lian Li build without all the Lian Li fans and the Lian Li cooler and stuff? I'm like, dude, there's high numbers of returns on them, and while that might be okay for some people, I don't want any of my customers to have to go through returns. So, like, until I can see a bit of track record that they've improved and stuff like that, I'm not going to sell products that I know could potentially have a problem. Even if it's a small chance, I'm not gonna like suggest
Richard
things.
says they go with his RAM.
Yeah. Richard's got the Trident.
Yes.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Silver or gold?
I think it's silver. I think it was silver if I remember right.
They're very fancy. I want them for myself, but they don't talk to IQ, which really bothers me.
I'm going to ask Luke a question here just quickly with this. Hey, Luke,
he's got gold.
Are they gold? Yeah, sorry. My memory's just hopeless. Do you want to just keep your SSD in your old PC? I have a faster one for you.
What are you two doing?
Alright. So I'm going to put that to the side because we've got NVMe SSDs for the new one, and I think I'd rather give Luke the faster SSD instead of putting a faster one in his son's PC. We'll just migrate over the user data, I'm thinking, from that PC onto the new one. Now there's one thing that I don't have here. I'm gonna have to steal some of the RAM out of that PC to use in here tonight, because I had a walk-in today and they had RAM problems, and I was short a kit of RAM, and I just had to sell them what I had on hand, because I was like, well, I could definitely get through tonight without this kit of RAM. I'll just pick up a new one tomorrow. So that's the only thing. Yeah. Who was that?
Peter.
Hey Peter, how you going? Yeah, good man. Good to have you here as always. So yeah, this is pretty much just going to be pretty much an all new PC build. Because what started as we're just going to swap a few parts around and do all that, ended up with how much for like a much better CPU, how much for like this, how much for that, and then yeah, we ended up doing a lot more than just upgrading the couple of parts that we were talking about at first.
What are you eating?
Like I said, this is the 12600 KF. What's up?
It says Tim's PC delivery middle. We'll be getting a PC built for you. Your cat is a screensaver. I can do that. I've got plenty of cat photos. I can do a collage if you like.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on PCs and rubbing myself on PCs. The cat I'm talking about, not you.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Not you, the fucking cat, Tim.
I'm not fucking rubbing myself on PCs. Fucking thank you very much. That's not happening.
I'm sorry, but now I've got a cartoon image of that. That's pretty funny. I meant the fucking cat, Tim. Oh, the look on your face. I hope some of these screenshots that makes a meme out of Tim would be funny.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to be rubbing myself on any fucking PCs, alright? Fuck me dead.
Oh shit.
Fucking hell. Alright, I'll install another offset into this M2 slot here. Because there's already one in the other one, and you don't even need a screw to install the M2 drive in the other M2 slot there. Because the cover comes down through that hole. Sweet. And so just remember to unstick that bit of sticky. There's always some thermal pads down there. Cool. Yeah, no, I think because this is a 32 gigabyte kit and we only had a 16 gigabyte kit on the quote, so I'm pretty sure we'll definitely want to be utilising the 32 over here. Sweet as.
Yeah, it's almost dinner time, mate.
And so now we've got to get a cooler attached because our Intel K series don't come with coolers and you wouldn't want to use a stock cooler on something like this anyway. What's up?
Bree says Dylan will pay extra for that. Dylan says Tim or the cat. I'm happy with either.
Oh no.
Tim,
Yeah.
Darren says it's Sunday here, 9:50 a.m. What time where you are?
It is 6:50 in the PM on Sunday evening. And ironically, in our part of the world, it's winter and we actually had some below average temperatures, like below the long-term average and stuff like that in our part of the world. So we've had temperatures down to 6 degrees Celsius here, which is pretty cool for us in Logan. Logan being the city just directly south of Brisbane. It borders Brisbane directly. And I was saying to Christine when we moved here, I said, well, that's it, babe. We've now officially lived in the rural regions surrounding Brisbane, and then we've lived on the north side, the west side, the east side, and the south side. So I said,
we haven't done is live in the city.
No, we haven't lived in the city, but who wants
Who
to
wants to do
live in
that?
the city?
I get headaches from smog, so I really
Yeah.
not enjoy living in the city.
No, definitely not.
Oh no, what the fuck did those kids do in the cabinet? Oh. Nah, something's wrong with it. The kids were like, must have lent on it or something. Something's wrong.
Oh God. We had a friend over with their kids
Yeah, it's the
yesterday.
first time we've had like children in our house since we moved, and I forgot the baby proof.
We're not really. Yeah, we don't have kids. So we don't have we don't have the house set up like that. What's that smell?
Mum's cooking stovies.
Oh God, it smells like rotten eggs.
I was thinking it might smell nice. It doesn't smell like rotten eggs to me. You never ate that when you were a kid.
It smells like rotten eggs. It has a sulfur smell to it.
Aaron says, yeah, it's been hot for the last few days.
We've all been sympathising with you from Australia. Some people are smart asses
It has
and shit.
rained
But
where he is as well. But that also adds to the humidity.
yeah, that just if it rains, you're like, oh sweet rain, it'll cool everything down.
Nah.
And then the rain moves off, and then the road and the buildings are all still hot, and then all the humidity just goes straight in the air. Ugh. Yeah, we know all about it. We know all about that kind of shit. It's not pleasant. We have to pretty much run our aircon on like the dry dehumidifying mode the whole time. That's how summers go. If not, you basically just have to sweat your ring off. There's the two options there. You either go, oh okay, cop it sweet and I'll pay for an electricity bill, Or you go, oh, I can't afford to pay for that electricity bill, and then you just sweat your ring out.
Mm-hmm.
There's
and
the two
you
options.
have a kiddie pool and you sit in the kiddie pool.
Yeah, we've done that. We've done that over the years. We've done that over the years. Okay, so like most coolers, we have to apply a thermal compound. And we have to remove this bit of sticky from the bottom of our CPU block. So that means we have to prepare this backplate. Yeah.
Rob says bogan from bogan.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we only recently.
Well, see, I grew when I grew up, I had friends all around town, so I spent a lot of time in Logan and Ipswich and stuff when I was a kid. So I know Brisbane really well. I've pretty much spent some time in every area.
Richard says literally like 30 minutes from the city anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Logan is very, very, very accessible to Brisbane.
Rob says good thing we can't smell it and hope it's not in the build.
Yeah, no. It's not the. It's definitely not the build. She's probably cooking. She's probably frying some eggs or something like that.
No, it's the French onion soup that she's like starting to cook with like the other ingredients. They're not hot properly, so it's like making a weird smell. It's the meat that's like still slightly.
She could be a bit of a
left
worry
over
down
from the
there,
day
man.
before.
She's like reheats old rice and stuff. That's a red
No,
flag.
she fried it last night. She
Yeah,
actually
but
fried it
I know,
on
but
Friday.
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
No, I've reheated rice before.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm not my mum.
trust me.
I'm not an old lady.
Yeah, but that too. Yeah, you've got a much better immune system. You're more able to tolerate it. I tried to. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I tried telling her. I'm like, look, okay. What the problem with rice is this thing called listeria, Marion, and it's really, really bad, and it grows all over rice. Fried rice was invented as a way of making something with last night's leftover rice in Asian countries, and because they know all about rice, right? So they know that they can't just reuse last night's rice again the next day because it's going to have listeria all over it. So they fry the rice, and that's where fried rice comes from. So it's good for another night, good for another serving. But yeah, you've got to remember that rice is not your friend when it comes to food safety. Oh, this fucking bolt is also not my friend in terms of like getting in place in this plate.
Darren says one computer has been overheating, fans at full speed with room top 80s.
Who's that?
Darren, his PC's
In
been
the UK?
overheating.
Oh no.
Get a pedestal fan and blow that on the PC.
Yeah,
That's
that's.
all I can suggest. Maybe a dehumidifier.
Oh jeez. After all that. What's wrong?
Sally's dad passed away.
Oh yeah. Yeah, mate.
I literally commented on her display picture just the other day with her and her dad. She was in a wedding dress and he was giving her a ring. And I'm like, oh, he looks so happy in this photo. And next thing I see I'll be all this fucking board.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Jeez, I'm not having much luck with this thing here, you know? Dead. So it's got these little washer things, and they're meant to sort of hold the bolts on, but they're a little bit freaking loose.
Stuff was sad. One of my friends has lost their papa.
Oh, really?
On that age. You know Carol?
Yeah.
Yeah. She lost one of her. It looks like a maybe Pibble Cross like boxer or something.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys. This is just... I don't normally struggle this much putting these fucking things together, but it's just... on an upgrade. This is just a very unfortunate combination of the fact when they cut these things out from metal, right? There's like a cutting instrument, and it gets blunter and blunter and blunter and blunter, right? And so what's happened is it's really tight and doesn't fit too well on the outside where these bolts are meant to sort of, they fit in one direction, like you've got to rotate them 360 degrees to get them lined up right. And then the combination of that with these washers not being very tight and not sticking down very well. Yeah. I'm almost at the point where I just go and get an alternate backplate for this, because if this is gonna just continue to be problematic like this, there's only so much until I'll start getting pissed, right? Come loose again. No, let's get... Seriously, man. Yeah.
Rob says the cat probably fired. I say this because my cat just didn't die. likes to follow us to the shower, and when we're in the shower, he likes to take a dump. While we're in there. That's what why he doesn't. Don't have to keep the door shut down. We have a shower. So we take a shit.
Okay. So we'll use an alternate mounting kit. Can I get away with just this plate? No, I won't be able to use them. So basically, this can be a real pain in the ass with people with the coolers and the LGA 1700 socket back plates and stuff. It can be, yeah, it can be painful. I'm just a bit pissed off that that plate that I had for the other one just wasn't in a better condition, so I wouldn't have to stuff around and do this. But what we're doing now is basically like what we'd do if we had no back plate, no appropriate back plate at all with that cooler. So this is just some of the random shit you've got to work your way through sometimes. Yes. Who? Oh yeah.
Reese and James's
There we go. So what I did just there, because we're using a different backplate and different mounting bolts, I want to make sure that our cooler is actually making contact with the lid of our CPU. So I just scratched it very, very lightly there on there just to make sure that the lid was making contact, and I can see some very, very light scratch marks there in the plate. Some people might be like, oh shit, scratch marks, isn't that a problem? Well, the thing is, the thermal paste is actually designed to smooth out scratches that you can't even see. See, it feels and looks like a nice smooth surface to you, but as soon as you get that under a microscope, even just like 20 times magnification, you'll start seeing that it's actually all ridges and valleys and stuff like that. So what this does is it smooths over those ridges and valleys and allows for the cooler to make good contact with our CPU. Alrighty. And whenever you use a different mounting kit on the CPU, it's also important to remember to not over tighten, because sometimes if you have a different backplate or whatever than what comes with your cooler, it may give you the ability to over tighten it. There we go. Alright, that was a bit of an ordeal, but we have our cooler mounted, and we get pre-mounted fans with this cooler. How cool is that? Excuse the pun. Alright, so let's move on. Let's get everything sorted on the case end of things. Let's get rid of these wire ties here quickly, because as you've heard me say a million times, I don't like wire ties around cables left at the back. You never know, when you build a PC, you never know how long that PC is going to exist for. Like, I might sell my friend a PC, right? But then eventually they'll sell that PC, you know, or whatever. You know, they'll move on, they'll get something new, and then you don't know who's going to own it afterwards. It's going to go to someone else. Good one. Christine just ripping the power cable out of the mic.
I'm sorry, but fucking...
It's on runs on battery, so don't stress too much. I'm just making I'm making drama because of a live, and people like the drama. You know I don't give a shit. Yeah.
George sent you a message regarding QL120 fan speed control.
Oh, okay. Well, you do all that through IQ.
So wants to know how the GPU price is going to come down more.
I love that question. Would you believe the prices come down now?
Rob says, well, Chris, our cat won't go near the shower since I locked him in it and turned the shower on.
Oh no.
I don't know how many times I've thought of doing that when he's walked in there.
Let's get this hard drive. Sorry. I just said that because I just put a hard drive tray back in it. Let's get this power supply sorted. Haha, people complaining about internet and Wi-Fi no pocket.
Yeah, one person bought theirs through Foxtel, and they're wondering why their internet's not working.
Why is my internet shit in Wi-Fi no pocket? Can you say fixed wireless? 2 words. Fixed wireless. Wireless could kind of be thought of as 2 words, but it's 1 word. Fixed wireless. If you're in the city and you're like, what the fuck's fixed wireless? Fixed wireless is the lowest tier of NBN. If no one's using it, you can probably get 50 megabits. But that's only if no one else is using it. If someone else is using it, then you're fucked. So yeah, we won't be moving back there until either they upgrade the internet or I can afford to get a fibre optic cable run for several kilometres to the property at Ivanhoe Pocket. Last I checked, that was going to cost like 20 grand or something like that, so that won't be happening anytime soon. So yes, they were going to, like, what's frustrating for people in that particular area, look it up if you don't know where it is, Ivanhoe Pocket, is that right around them, there are people who have fibre because they stopped the fibre rollout when they were up to that part. So that community just missed out. And instead they got the full shaft by getting fixed wireless. So you might think your fibre to the node NBN is shit. You don't even know what shit is. Fixed wireless is dog shit to you. Alrighty. So we've got all of that all sorted. We'll just drop down this fan here. Just going to mount the cooler at the back. So I'll have a couple of offsets here to adjust. Alrighty, very good. So I'll wire this down.
Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It says, hey, I just got your message. Can you replace a SSD?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my question was mainly just about like what you want it done with the data.
Your mic fell on the ground.
Oh.
It's probably because of me.
Okay. we've got our twin 8 pins here for the CPU. There we go. Excellent. So what have we got here? Alrighty. So we've managed to plug in everything just to our controller at the back here. That'll make our lives a little bit easier. Tie up these SATA cables. sort of sit down here, plug in our pump. And our fan controller, an RGB controller for our case. Sweet. Front panel audio. Sweet as. Oh, it's graphics card time. This one's got the i5-10600KF, so pretty decent CPU there. So some people, it's amazing to me how many people still think that like i5, i7, i9, like, you know, any i7 is going to be better than any i5 and stuff like that, when that's not how it works at all. In fact, most, like, if you have an i7, for example, usually the next generation's i5 will smash that i7 in a lot of ways. So that's how it kind of works. You can only really use the i5, i7, i9 to compare CPUs from within the same generation. So if we're talking about 12th gen Intel, that's all the ones that start with a 12 at the start of the model number. If it starts with 11 or 10 or 9 or 8, that's those generations respectively. You can't compare the i5, i7, i9 between the different generations because the performance completely changes. So what was i7 performance will usually be i5 performance by the next generation or so. So like I've had people want like budget gaming PCs, and then I've lost the sale because my build has the i3 in it, but it's a modern i3 that's actually half decent. And they'll be like, oh, but I've got this second-hand one that's got an i7 in it. And it's like, dude, that's a 4th gen i7. It's like 8 years old. Oh, but it's an i7. It's better than that i3 thing you're offering me. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him. Okay. PC number 1. Let's see how she's going. Oh. So the only extra little thing that we've got to do here with this one is we got some user data from the other PC to copy over. So just FYI, Luke, with the user data, it won't be any of your games and stuff you downloaded through Steam, Origin, Epic, Battle.net, etc. You'll have to re-download all your games. It's just all the stuff in your Windows user data folder. So whatever's on your desktop, photos folder, videos folder, downloads folder, etc., etc., etc. All that stuff will be copied over. Ooh.
That was a really weird sound.
No, that's
Okay.
it's no sound anymore. Do you want to? I'll share my screen.
I'm coming. Fucking hell. Just.
Okay. I think we'll have a more modern BIOS to put on it. And as you can see there, the CPU temperature, see how it's like really low there, below 30 degrees. That's good indication that your CPU cooler is mounted correctly, because normally by this stage, if you were doing a BIOS update or something like that, you would start seeing the CPU in the 50s and 60s degrees, and that would indicate some sort of a problem with your cooler. Maybe your cooler isn't actually making contact with the CPU. Maybe you've got a pump that's dead. Maybe you haven't hooked up the pump. There's a number of things that you'd have to go through to determine exactly what's going on. Normally when I see it, when I turn on a computer for the first time, if I see that, the first thing I think is, oh, I've got a dead pump, because normally I don't mess up when I install them. I'm pretty careful about what I do, even especially if I have to use different mounting hardware. Sweet. So we've used my SATA USB-C interface cable. So it plugs directly in to 2.5-inch SATA SSDs, and on the other end is a USB-C. So it's a pretty cool little contraption. You can have a Windows operating system on your SSD, and you can use this, and you can plug it into any PC you want and boot to it. So it's something that I can use if I go to a customer's house and they've got confidential stuff on their computer they don't want me to see, but we need to do something with the PC as it stands. So yeah, this will make our lives a lot easier. And if you're looking for something like that, just Google SATA to USB-C cable, and you should find that little adapter that I've got there. Unexpected error. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay. It's pretty weird, we don't normally see that one. But what can sometimes cause that is, you know how like USB drives can be a little bit temperamental sometimes? So what's most probably happened there is it wasn't able to read from the USB properly, and that's why we've just clicked straight through now, no problems. Alrighty. So let's get Windows installed on here. We'll get things starting off. We'll get the stress test going on, and then we'll start building the other one, and then we'll check in on this PC and how the stress test goes. Because normally people don't get to see this. Normally when I do the stress test, I normally sign off well before it's done, because it's 90 minutes of it just sitting there doing the same thing. Gets pretty boring. But yeah, occasionally when we have the opportunity to do this, I like to drop back and show everyone how it's going, you know, like 70, 80 minutes into the stress test, etc. And so on Richard's PC, the Lian Lee one, we don't have to do a Windows install at all. All we have to do, we just have to do the build. Sweet as. That's been nice and tidy. Yeah, Luke will be happy with this one for sure. He won't know himself. Going from 3060 to 3080 is like gadoosh, right?
Just a little.
Just yeah. It's just a little bit of a step up. Just a little bit. No, you won't know yourself because, like I say to people who are comparing cards or in a similar situation to you, if you've got 3060 or 3050, they're the two. That's the cheapest GPU in 30 series. It's called the NVIDIA GA106 GPU. If you've got 3060 Ti, 3070 or 3070 Ti, that's the mid-range GPU. That's called the NVIDIA GA104. But if you want the flagship GPU, the top one, that's the 3080, 3080 Ti, 3090 and 3090 Ti, and that's the NVIDIA GA102. So when you go from 3060 to 3080, you're skipping a whole GPU and moving straight up to the flagship. So you'll be like, wow, this is like considerably better across the board. And not just better, you won't, like, you really won't know yourself. You won't know yourself. Alright, let's get some stuff going on here. Oh, got my USB stuff installed. There's the mouse. Okay. So here's our local disc. Looks good.
Oh, good on ya. It wasn't me this time. It was the cat.
Yeah, it's not meant to be plugged in there. It's the other one that's meant to be plugged in. See that one that's wrapped around the bottom there? That's where you plug that in. So it stays low to the ground and you don't trip over it.
Well,
No, it's all good. It's all good. I know you don't. And then there'll be another cable up there somewhere.
oh shit.
That's where it plugs in. No, I'll show you. That is just an extender.
Oh, to that one.
It goes in, this is the one in use. So yeah, the one in use didn't fall on the floor. It was the other one. Sorry, don't mind me, I'm just explaining the setup to my wife.
I need to get my head around it. I need to be like here more often.
I need a... Can you tell I need help?
You need to turn your screen.
It is what it is. It's all good. They can see what's on the screen anyway. Okay.
Tim.
Yeah.
Luke says I5 12 600 in KF. Is it supposed to be I5 12 600K?
Oh, I couldn't get the K, and it doesn't make any difference, man, because the K and the KF is just if you bought the K, it's for when you don't want a graphics card and you want to use the onboard CPU graphics. So you don't want that. They're the same price. Yeah.
Richard said that will be my next upgrade. Retire before 3060.
Yep. Yes, definitely. Alright, let's copy over that user data. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the difference there between K and KF. KF just means it doesn't have the onboard graphics chip. The thing that you'll never use anyway because you got an RTX 3080. And so yeah, I wasn't gonna get one shipped in just for that. Alrighty, where are we? Gaming apps. Yeah.
And this is high tech what car GPU with the i9 9900K.
i9 9900K. I mean, realistically, whatever you want, man. It's not the first thing I pair with a 30 series CPU, but it's not like you're going to notice a big difference either way. It'll keep up 98% with a 3080 or something. So people hear about CPU bottlenecking and then they think that it's a much more of a big deal than what it is. They think that like their modern CPU is going to bottleneck their modern GPU, and that's generally not how it works. CPU bottlenecking happens when you're running a much more modern graphics card with a much older CPU, for the most part. Remember that there's nothing's 100% unbottlenecked. Okay, everything's always like 99.999. That's like the best you can ever hope for, right? There's always some degree of it. So. Alrighty, let's adjust the date and time. Yeah.
I only really play World of Warcraft and knowing a big league and integrated graphics.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the only sort of, if you're using integrated graphics in this day and age, the only one that you'd want to use for gaming really is the Ryzen 5600G and 5700G onboard graphics. That's the one that you want. That's
But
the
if you've got an i9 9900K, what GPU would you use?
yeah, like I said, you can pair it with whatever GPU you want. There'd be minimal bottlenecking with a 9900K.
If I had the money, I would so buy the 3080.
Yeah.
Now, how'd you do on this stuff?
Some people are like, oh, 9900K, it's only got PCIe 3, 3080's PCIe 4. It really makes sweet fuck all difference, okay? So if a full new PC with a new motherboard, CPU and RAM, if that's out of the question right now, I wouldn't stress too much about what anyone's saying about bottleneck or blah, 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 blah. Get yourself a good graphics card. You're going to get 97-98% of the performance out of it. It's nothing serious is going to hold you back. It's not like it's going to run half as good as it should or something like that. I'd just go and get that, because you can pick up an RTX 3080 for $999 excluding GST right now. So yeah, there's that. You know, I've been showing people have like come to me like with their builds and stuff with like 3060 Ti, and then I'm like, dude, for like $300 extra you can get 3080, and they're like, oh yeah, give me a couple of weeks, I'm going to save up and do that. Totally. It's like talking myself out of quick sales here, but that's alright. Rather people get what they want. Okay. Alrighty. So there wasn't much user data there, so that was good. That didn't take long. I was like, if it's going to be hundreds of gigabytes, it could take a while. But it's obviously just game data. And so yeah, i5 12600 has 10 cores and 16 threads. So remember we're talking about how the i5, i7, i9 is kind of irrelevant between generations. Well, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right here with the PC we've got, and comparing it to the i9 9900K, which was the flagship. But if we go into Task Manager and we look at our CPU, we've got 10 cores and 16 threads. And the 9900K is 8 cores and 16 threads. So our modern i5 K series is beating our 9th gen i9 K series. So very, very impressive performance there, and that's what we're talking about with those generational improvements and stuff like that. So if you get like a 12th gen i3, it's probably going to be better than like a 6th gen i7, for example. Right? So don't go looking online and thinking, oh wait, this one's really cheap, so that'll be better, right? Okay, so I think at this stage we're gonna need a restart. Alrighty, that SSD can go back in the original, and then I just need a kit of memory to go back in the original, and that'll be all good to go, and this will be all good to go. Okay, a couple of Windows things installing there. So, let's just run some gaming benchmarks here. So let's run Heaven here. High, no anti-aliasing. So this number here below RAM is how many frames a second it's currently running at. Yeah.
It's a good GPU around 200-300 range.
Nothing. Not really anything at that. 200-300 you get last generation's graphics cards. For something a bit more modern, realistically, you're looking at $400 or $500. Like that doesn't feel like it's in there properly. Alrighty, so that was Heaven. Just on the out of the box settings there. And let's go on. Alrighty, so next we'll run Valley. Valley is a more demanding benchmark. We run it on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. Yeah, I've seen these photos. I think I showed you some of these.
Yeah, you showed it this one. Baby Eastern Brown driving the it's harder than skin off. I want to pet snack.
Alrighty, so that was Valley there on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. And then finally we do our 4K benchmark. Alrighty. So that was superposition there at 4K. A couple of cumulative updates there. Just make sure all of the correct drivers are up to date. So this app here, Msi Center, this is like stuff that comes with your motherboard. Stuff that was once upon a time on a CD. Alright, so it's found some later versions of a few different drivers there. We'll put on XTU because we've got a K series chip. Cinebench shot it to download for me. Alrighty. So look at those temperatures. The CPU there sitting in the 60s. We get up to 100 degrees, so well under temp there. And our graphics card, GPU can get up to 83. Memory and hotspot can get up to 100 degrees. As you can see, our 12th gen i5 up there with Threadripper and Xeon and all that. Absolutely smashing older i9, older Ryzen 7, and yeah. This one here, 11th gen i7 laptop. Look how crap the laptop ones are. Not even comparable. So just remember, Threadripper 1950X, that's like $1,000 plus CPU, right? Sweet as. So yeah, we just let this one run for 90 minutes. So now we'll go back. I'll get Christine to bring us back to full screen when she's free. Because what we'll do is we'll just let this one run in the background and we'll get started on the Lian Li build. Okay. Boom. This is our existing PC. Yes. This was from Allied Gaming, I'm assuming, because it's got the Allied custom logo thing going on. Or maybe you just have a case. That's possible too. Alrighty, so basically we got a new power supply, we got fans, we got our CPU cooler, got some cable extenders, we got an RGB and fan controller there as well for our Lian Li case, and then we've got the motherboard, graphics card, RAM and storage devices coming out of here and onto our new one. So we'll just start tearing this apart, I guess. Well, not, you know, not actually tearing it apart, but alrighty, we'll just put some pin protectors on the bottom of that graphics card there. Let's remove this side panel. So, first things first, we really need to take this cooler probably out. But am I going to be able to get the motherboard out? No, I can't. The screws are obstructed. So we will have to take this out completely. Oh. We've got a fan on the back here. This will be fun. I was like, have we done a push-pull configuration? No, we've just put the fan on the back. Shouldn't over tighten the cooler, but this feels really like barely tightened. Like it's just tightened enough. Okay. Oh. Make sure we don't get thermal compound everywhere, but I will need, can you grab me my isopropyl and some paper towel back? Yes.
Really?
So this stuff here that I'm spraying is 100% pure isopropyl alcohol. You make your own hand sanitizer with this. Believe it or not, by diluting it. It actually functions better. Now we won't have to remove the CPU backplate. The CPU backplate can just stay there. Because we've got a Corsair H150 going in.
Oh, fucking hell, cat. That is concentrated evil that comes out of the back of me, dude. Yeah.
So I've still got the other computer opened up on my screen. And there's no issues with temperatures.
Not cool.
Alrighty.
Sorry, mate.
So here's our motherboard. One thing I might do is that Aorus Gen 4 SSD with no heatsink. I might move it under slot 1 there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they might have not have been able to get this one undone because the screw was tightened into the offset there. But luckily, I know how to fix that. Usually. If it doesn't fix the easy way, then it's only the hard way. And we'll put that M2 screw back in the bottom one. And then if Richard wants to add another M2 drive, that'll be relatively straightforward for him. Okay. Alright, what else have we got around here? We've got a hard drive, got an RGB controller in there. No, really? Okay. Jesus. I wasn't anticipating on turning it upside down like this.
You right?
Yeah. Are you serious?
What did you do?
No. I had just had the old cooler inside. It slipped out. It's nothing. Getting this hard drive out though. Fuck, man. Getting this hard drive out. This is going to be a real pain in the ass. To get this out, I'm going to have to remove the power supply. And I'm pretty sure I have to remove a front fan as well, just to remove our to remove our hard drive. Excellent. Just what we want. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, no, yes. Whoever installed this hard drive only had it properly screwed in on one side, so that's good. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Could have been significantly worse. Okay. So an update on the temps. The CPU hasn't gone over 70 degrees. And the graphics card hasn't gone over 65 degrees. So yeah, no problems there. Need an IO shield for this motherboard. But other than that, that is everything important out of this case. So let me get this stuff out of the way for now. Bang. Dynamic 11 in white. Alrighty. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this cooler installed. And so we've got a matching set of fans here. Alrighty. So I'm going to change this faceplate on the cooler over to the white one. Very good. So, yeah, no, that's fine. We will mount our cooler like this because there's no back fan here. So if you just press down nice and firm, you should get a decent amount of surface tension on there, enough to hold it in place, just long enough for you to get a couple of bolts in place. Physics is your friend. Even if you failed it in high school, it's still your friend. There we go. Just the right amount of tension. Because you can over tighten bolts and it actually bends the thread of the socket and the bolt. So once you've bent that, then it's almost impossible to screw it back in and out. You'll be struggling. So yeah, never over tighten bolts. You can be tempted to do that because you're worried about whatever you're tightening coming loose. But yeah, there is a perfect amount of tension for a bolt. If you exceed that, you're going to cause problems. Alrighty, so each of these will have its own controller. Alrighty, so our cooler is going to be mounted like that, so we want all of our cables down this way. Alright. Alrighty. So that is our radiator all prepped and ready to go. It's going to go in our case like this. But now we need to turn our attention to the case. So we've got 6 extra fans that we need to add into our case. So obviously our radiator mounts up top. So we've got the wall and the bottom to line with our fans. Okay. Okay, so there's our dynamic 11 case all ready to go. Let's get rid of this box up here. Okay. So before I forget about hard drive entirely, I'm going to go ahead and mount it. Like I said, I'm getting tired and I know I'll forget. Of course. The Lian hard drive trays, they go in the opposite way of other hard drive trays. And of course I put the hard drive in the wrong way, didn't I? The way that's normal for every other case. Alright. Take 2. There we go. Alrighty. So we'll lay it down. And first things first, let's get these 3 on the bottom. Alrighty, so for our ones down the bottom here, we're going to want to mount them face down. Because we want them drawing in cool air from the bottom. Alrighty, last one. Okay, so it's not really done, that's just 3 bolts, but it holds them in place, so it's kind of done. Alrighty, 2 more on the bottom. That'll be all 12. Very good. Dust filter just goes back on the bottom there. Pull it off. Alrighty, and then now got 3 to go on the side wall. And then we can worry about our motherboard and everything else. Alright, I'll have to do this one at a time. That won't stack right on top of each other. Alright, we're nearly done. Alrighty, so that is our 6 fans installed in our case. Okay, let's get our motherboard and our cooler in next. needs to adjust here. And it's tight. Oh, fuck yeah. There we go. That wasn't exactly easy. Alrighty, so we've got an IO shield. Marion, she's in the shower. No, she's out. Okay, here she is.
What's up?
Okay. So we got a micro ATX board in an ATX case. So we have to think about how we're routing all this. Okay. So is there any other cables at the top there? Not really. I mean, we've got the power supply, but it's a Lian lead case, so we won't have any troubles plugging that in once we get our cooler up there. Alrighty, so Okay. So now we've got those cables fed through where we want them. Let's just put a few bolts here in our radiator. I feel like I've got heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of work to do, but I don't have too much work to do. Because I don't have to install Windows. Alrighty, so dust filter can go back on over there. Alrighty, so that's all looking pretty good. Okay, so we've got everything all hooked up for the most part. We've just got all of these cables starting to pile up out the back, but as you know, as to be expected with a Lian Li build. So we've got this controller here. magnetic or something. Oh yeah, sweet. Alright, so I'm going to attempt to plug all of these fans on our radiator, plus the 3 on the side, to this controller up here. What's up, babe?
Drying my hands loose.
You're looking at me like something's wrong.
No, I'm looking at the PC. I like those fans. I wish that stuff talked to our keyboard.
Yeah.
It's so pissed off it doesn't. Otherwise I'd have it on.
Okay, so we've got these fans all hooked up to the controller. This is magnetic, and this is going to sit on the back of that white panel that sits there. That'll just sit like that, basically, just sit there on the side of it. We have to install our Corsair controller as well, so that'll be a bit of fun. And then we've got PWM and 5-volt RGB that we need to hook up. Okay. Okay, that's a bit of a pain. So we've got only one 5-volt addressable header, and it's right down the bottom of the motherboard. And these fans have some really short cables, and I don't think they've given us anything to deal with that. No. Just the little shitty controllers. So that'd be just enough to make you have a shitty day. However, I come prepared for these sort of situations. What have we got here? This is an RGB extension cable. So with this, we'll be able to hook everything up. Alright, so then we've just got the 3 PWM headers in those bottom fans. Okay. Alrighty. There's USB 3 on this board. Oh, damn. 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 So, everyone's probably like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? You're going crazy. No, I'm just quoting YouTube classics. I'm old. It'll still be there. Just Google stick figures on crack. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Don't worry, I'm not on crack. I can't afford crack. I'm in Australia, man. You know how much bloody cocaine derivatives are in Australia? You got to be a rich person to do that. Can you imagine being addicted to that? Oh man, I'm halfway through the week and I've spent $1,500 on drugs. How am I going to survive the rest of the week? There's our front panel audio. Alrighty, we're starting to look pretty good back here. Well, not really look very good because we've still got that controller just hanging there because it's just kind of in the way. It's getting mounted to the back of our that metal plate that goes on back here. So if you're trying to frickin' work out which way these little things go on, just remember positive on the left, negative on the right. You can confirm that with a little circuit diagram on the motherboard, but basically every board will be set out like that. Do we have USB-C on this board? No, we don't. Oh no, is that still... Oh no!
What?
There's still a thing of sticky over the fucking chipset heatsink. Yeah, that's designed to be air cooled. You don't want sticky over that. Okay, I think that's everything. We've got some PWMs here, but they're going to get plugged into our Corsair controller. I think that's everything plugged into our motherboard. Alrighty. So, I got some sleeved cable extensions to put together. These are kind of painful, these fucking things. So Richard's done the right thing by bringing him to me to deal with instead of trying to deal with them himself. Because it's the kind of thing that you can get better with a bit of practice. And if you're just doing it the one time, you'll never get that practice. Alright, so first we've got to separate one half of our cable from the other. And once it's lined up, we can sort of bend this plastic clip a little bit either way, and it'll just fit through just like that. And once you've done one, it's a little bit easier to get the second one through. I say a little bit because, yeah, it's definitely not. I wouldn't say it's easy.
So,
Okay. Let me just... The CPU, we won't even need to worry about the plastic dividers because it's such a short cable. Hopefully we won't see too much of that when we mount our graphics card. We just got a 3060, so we just need a single 8-pin connector. Yeah, like I said, these things are a bit of a pain in the ass to put together. Like, it might look relatively easy for me to put them together, but I guarantee if you've never done them before, they'll be a little bit painful for you. Okay, nice and easy. So let's get our graphics card back in place. Ever so slightly bent. And something just fell on me. Backplate of your graphics card's a little bit dusty. There we go. Oh, that was bent the wrong way. Okay. It's now finally time to put our power supply in. Because unlike other cases where we can put our power supply in, you know, pretty much as soon as we start prepping the case, with this case here, it really gets in the way if you try and put it in too early. Don't get our modular power cables mixed up here. So they aren't universal. So you really want to make sure that you've got the right cables for the modular power supply that you're using. So in this case, we've just got a 3060, so we don't really need too much. And we've just got like a Intel LGA 1200 socket board, and it's only got the 8 pins of CPU power. Not that anyone really needs more than 8 pins of CPU power, unless you're on Red Ripper or Xeon or something like that. It's more of a marketing thing, right? They put the extra pins on the CPU there, not so much because people need that, but just because it looks like it's real powerful. More power. More RGB, more power. Okay, so that's what we need. This is what we don't need. One point to note when you mount your power supply in your Lian Li case is the fan has to be facing outwards, okay? It can't be suffocated facing inwards. So make sure you check that out, or you're going to have a really bad time when you're halfway through setting up your PC and it just shuts down. And then you go to turn it back on again and it won't turn back on. And you keep pressing the power button and it's just completely dead. And you might even notice a bit of a strange smell coming from it as well. And then you're going to really start freaking out, right? It's nothing. It's nowhere near as bad as what it seems. What's happened is your power supply's overheated and it's shut itself down and it won't turn itself back on until it cools itself down. So that's why no power will be getting to it. And then you'll be like, fuck, and then you'll have to take your computer apart and swap the position of your power supply around. Okay. Now the trick to these Lian Lis with cable extenders is to tie up all the excess volume right up near your power supply, and then you just kind of pack it in behind that panel. That's why they give you all that room there for configurations like this. Yes. I could do with some shorter SATA cables, that's for sure. Alrighty. So once again, we're out that CPU cable up the top near where the power is. Okay. And then the same for our graphics card. Oh, alrighty. Yeah. Alrighty. Alright, well that Cooler Master controller, just due to the cable length, won't just sit nicely there, but it's held in place by everything else back there. And okay. Ready to see if this thing works. Or, before we do that, should probably have a look at this one. Okay, so how are we going? Cinebench 90-minute run completed. How hot did we get on the CPU? Maximum of 70 degrees, so 30 degrees under temp. That's all looking sweet. Okay. Update and restart over there. Alrighty. Very nice. Sweet as. So that is looking nice and crystally. Very nice. I know some people like to leave sticky on things, but you really shouldn't leave sticky on a PC case because the glass and stuff is designed to be air cooled, so it's just not ideal. They even put a little caution label there. Sometimes I get a PC that comes in and it's like 5 years old and the person's like never taken off any of the sticky because they're like, oh, I want to protect it and keep it nice. And it's like, yeah, I get that. I totally get that. But did you realise there's a reason why you should remove it? Other than, you know, just you like removing sticky or something? I personally hate removing the sticky. Alrighty. So look, we didn't have to do any Windows installation or anything on this one. So that was nice and easy. What are you talking about? Please shut down. Alrighty, those cable extenders in there, cones. Yeah, it's like everything. I'm assuming you don't want these little shitty 3-fan. It's not even 3-fan, it's one 5-volt header that you can daisy chain up to, and a little push button controller. I'm assuming you don't want them. Okay. you got a little bag of goodies there. So, get an MSI board. Here's some MSI stickers, some more modern ones. What else have we got? Chuck in some thermal compound in case you ever need to change it. I think that's it. Yeah. There's a little bag of goodies for you. We'll just get this boxed up. We've got PCs everywhere right now, so alright. So our Lian Li foam. One on the top like that, and then this one here that has this bit of extra foam on the bottom, that goes on the bottom. So let me just demonstrate. It's it can be a little bit confusing. Because this is a relatively square case, so the foam will fit multiple ways. But this is the way that it's designed. Oh, what am I doing? I put the case over here. Sweet as. So that one's all done. We've got a little bit of stuff to do, but we're nearly done. Sec. What's up? What's up? Okay. Alrighty, so what we've got to do now is just hook this SSD back up. Oh. Alrighty, that's all done. Okay, so this back panel just sort of sits on there like that. Wrong the last one. It is too. Alrighty. That one's good to go. So I've just got a few bolts to put into this radiator, and then we're pretty much done. So I want to get all this stuff done now, so I don't have to rush and stuff around with it tomorrow morning. Done. Alrighty, well, I think that's where we'll leave it for tonight. Been live for nearly 4 hours. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.